All right, so the next album, we can't do a grunge episode without talking about Nirvana. We're
Who's
not.
that?
We're not going to talk about Nevermind. We're not going to talk about In Utero. We're not going to talk about Incesticide or even Bleach.
What?
We should
We're
talk
gonna
about Bleach
fucking
one
talk
day.
about
though.
Bleach?
We should talk about Bleach one day.
We'll
Somehow
talk about
we
a song from Bleach, but we're talking about a live version of it because we're going to
Cool.
talk about Unplugged.
No.
This is Nirvana's first live album. It was released November 1st, 1994. Everybody, are you shocked?
Well, fuck me and call me
94.
Sally.
I mean,
So-
I've been saying that was a good year for music for like a long time.
If you guys are keeping track
Like
over
30
like the
years.
last month or so, going back to the
Yeah, you've been
Pantera
shitting on 94. I've been keeping
Pantera
track.
episode, we've had like, I don't know, 11,
You guys
12
don't even like
fucking
Pantera.
albums
Goddamn.
of fucking 1994. It was a pretty solid year,
Yeah.
even if I didn't like them all.
Mm.
That's a lot of damn albums to talk
Yeah, and
about.
a couple of us really liked all those albums.
Mm.
So this was released 7 months after Kurt Cobain's death.
Mm.
And this was originally recorded a year earlier, though, on November 18th, 1993 for MTV's Unplugged, which was an intimate acoustic show for those unfamiliar. MTV wanted Nirvana to play a bunch of stripped-down versions of their popular tracks, but they said, fuck you, we're not doing that, not today. This album is a mix of mostly lesser-known original tracks and even lesser-known covers. This recording features Pat Smear on acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
He did join the band as a touring member just 2 months before this performance. It was in September 93. And Pat would later go on to form Foo Fighters with Dave Grohl. You guys ever heard of them?
Hmm.
The Foo Fighters?
Pat Smear's the man.
Yeah, man, he's from the Jits. That's legit punk rock right there.
But a lot of people don't realize that he toured with Nirvana for like them last
Mhm.
few months of their existence.
Hmm.
Maybe you've heard of them. Anyways, this album is 14 songs. It's 54 minutes, and it starts with About a Girl.
Mm.
It opens with a crowd cheering and Kurt letting us know this is off their first record, which, as he says, most people don't own. It's Bleach. The first thing you notice is Kurt's raspy vocal piercing through, and the main focus of everything on this album is his vocal. There's a nice little acoustic solo in the middle. It's a good opener to set the stage for a dark and emotional set that we're about to get.
Yeah, it was cool how he opened it up with a little bit of shit talking around us. Where he goes, "This is off our first record. Most people don't own it." Like he called you all posers right there on the
Yeah.
fucking. I like that.
Which, for the record, you guys both like Bleach most out of the
Mhm.
Nirvana albums,
Oh,
correct?
totally, yeah. But I know that Kurt was bitter. There's so many stories about when they blew up on Nevermind, and he would see the type of people that fucking gave him shit when he was growing up in his crowd,
Yep.
and he had a hard time reconciling that. So I get why he would make a statement.
He's like
that.
the ultimate anti-hero.
But,
He never wanted any of this.
But yeah,
you know-
odd choice to open this album with a Puddle of Mud song.
You better fucking stop. It's blasphemy you're even talking about Puddle of Mud with this.
But
You know,
seriously,
like, fuck.
This album,
damn it.
you touched on it, man. Like, I don't really like live albums most
neither.
of the time because for me, like, if you're going to experience a live album, go see the band live.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, unless I was at that show, I don't fucking care what it sounded like live because that was for those people that were in that audience to experience. But this one is different in the sense that they're reimagining songs and they're doing cover songs. It's just different. And this is my preferred version of About a Girl now. As much as I like Bleach, I would rather hear this version from Unplugged.
We'll get into it, but most of these versions are my favorite versions of the song. So next up is Come As You Are. I think the song selection here is smart throughout this performance. They're not forcing the hit singles like the network wanted. They're just playing songs that work in the acoustic setting, and this song really hits the way they played it. Come As You Are. What'd you guys think of it?
Yeah, Dave doing a cool subtle groove there. The effects on the acoustics creates a cool watery wishy-wash sound. I thought that was neat. He definitely had a gun though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, we would later find out he would have a gun
He
just
had
a
a
few
gun.
months later.
He said he didn't, but he did.
Yeah. This is a song that sounds like it was always meant to be
Mm-hmm.
presented in the way that it is
Yeah.
here.
Yep. Jesus Doesn't Want Me for a Sunbeam. This is the Vaselines cover. You ever heard of them? Most people probably haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it great. It's such a strange track for Nirvana to cover. I just imagine running through fields on a nice spring day in the mid-90s. It's very folk sounding and calming. And if you listen to it, this whole album has a kind of a folk sound to it. And you have to wonder, like, is that what Nirvana was going to go to if they would have continued? If Kurt wouldn't have
been an indie folk band, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Vaseline's cover. It's a fucking odd pick. But man, his vocals are especially horrible on this one. And it's not good.
Kurt's vocals are not technically good
ever, but like they're extra bad on this one. It's like fucking Christ.
Yeah, this is this shows one of the reasons that I really respect Nirvana, though, because they're one of the biggest bands in the world at the time when they did this.
Yeah.
And instead of doing like their biggest hits, they said, "Hey, you ever heard of this band, the Vaselines? Like, we're going to do their fucking song and we're going to spotlight them instead." I think that's pretty fucking cool.
They could have easily went up there and done stripped down versions of Smells Like Teen Spirit and Lithium and Rape Me and all their fucking popular songs, but they didn't. They did shit like this. That's pretty fucking cool. Next up was The Man Who Sold the World, which is a David Bowie cover. On an acoustic album, that one riff stands out, and the solo to close out the track really pulls you in. You know which riff I'm talking about. This is the most streamed song from this album.
Yeah, man, fucking Bowie cover. This is the best one, I think. I mean, I like Bowie anyway. But this has got to be one of the most iconic sounds of the fucking genre of the time. When you hear that shit kick on, that like it just, I can see the candles. I can see the fucking flat, fucking the whole vibe. Fucking great song. It's a great song, and it's a great fucking cover of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not exactly unplugged now, are we?
Not exactly, but
David Bowie, is that somebody important? Like,
I think this is the first time we've ever mentioned David Bowie.
Guys, very Christmas song.
It is very odd for us, but
no, great song, man. I agree with everything Bobby just said. Like, I mean, dude, like you hear that shit and you're there. You're
Takes
like,
you back,
it's
man.
a fucking time machine.
Next up's Pennyroyal Tea. Bobby briefly mentioned on the talking between the songs, but I always enjoyed that. There's like this shit talking realness. Nirvana is one of the biggest bands in the world when this was recorded, and they came off looking so normal and just humble while they recorded it.
Just some dudes, man. Yeah.
Just some dudes. Yeah, Kurt's off key a lot in this one. You can hear the strain in his vocals, but it adds to the rawness of everything here.
Yeah, Pennyroyal Tea. Whole lot of nope.
This is actually this is one of my favorite tunes from In Utero. But it sounds great here. I like the imperfections in Kurt's voice. I think it just makes it sound that much more authentic and powerful. It's cool to me.
Yeah, that was off In Utero, and so is the next track, Polly. Kurt's really in his zone at this point. Some of the cleaner vocals you'll ever hear him deliver.
Yeah, another one that came out better than the original, I thought. Although Dave barely does any fucking thing at all, he does some light stuff on the cymbals maybe, but it's just acoustic ain't your spot.
Polly's on Nevermind. I'm sorry, guys.
I think you meant to go Dumb, right?
Yeah, I did.
Dumb would have been the next song. I was going to tell you because
you're right. I skipped that. I pulled a Jason there.
That was dumb.
Like, that was fucking dumb. I'm sorry, guys. I do like this version of Dumb, though, more than the original. It's the introspective lyrics come off better in acoustic performance, whereas the vocal is clearly the focal point.
Yeah, this one came out pretty cool. It's got the added cello, nice mellow vibe.
It's dumb.
I'm sorry, and Polly's on Nevermind.
Yeah.
I fucked that all up, but you guys know.
Polly. That's another one that came out better than the original.
What'd you think of those songs, Jason?
When it comes to Polly...
Well, Dumb was first, because I was dumb to skip it.
Yeah, he did. He fucked it all up.
Dumb. It sounds like it does on the album. I mean, it sounds great, but it's not a standout on this particular album because it just sounds like the album version to me. Polly, I'd rather not hear acoustic. I'd rather hear the old Incesticide version where it's fucking punk rock style and it's fast. It sounds awesome.
I just fucked up all the albums, but you guys are welcome. You can go correct me in the comments.
No, Polly was on Nevermind, but it was also on Incesticide.
I still fucked up all the albums going through this.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We got an editor. Possibly.
I was throwing you a lifeline. You didn't fuck up Polly.
Man, fucking leave it all in. Who cares?
Here we go.
We'll be raw just like Nirvana here. On a Plane, ever so slightly picking up the energy for a rare moment on this album because it's mostly just very chill and melodic.
Nah, I didn't like that one.
Of course.
Yeah, this one sounds incredible with the unplugged treatment. I love it.
Something in the way. There's something in the way of Bobby's ears in this one.
More cello, more mellow.
The entire mood of this set is gloomy, but something about this one's extra dark. There's so much more raw emotion in this song.
Yeah.
Always, man. This is one of the best Nirvana songs ever recorded, I think, and it sounds great here, in this acoustic setting.
So after this song, the Meat Puppets would join Nirvana on stage and play 3 of their original songs. At the time, Meat Puppets were opening for Nirvana on concert, so it was pretty cool for them to pull them on stage here. They would open with Plateau. It's got a catchy riff, dark and moody. By now, Kurt's vocals are completely strained, and he struggled to get out the bigger notes. But it adds a level of passion that would be lost if it was just clean.
Yeah, man, Meat Puppets cover, man. Another odd fucking pick. Cool one, though. Somehow Kurt's stupid vocals actually fucking work here. I always like this one. It's got a bit of a Western swing to it.
Dude, I love this part of this album and this performance. I actually prefer these 3 Meat Puppet songs to most of the Nirvana originals.
I agree.
Just an incredible part of this performance.
They did good.
Yep. Oh Me is next. The harmony and the vocals between Kurt and the Meat Puppets for the chorus. It cuts really deep.
Yeah, it's a good cover, but I don't like it.
And the final Meat Puppets cover was Lake of Fire. This is one of my favorite riffs on the album and a standout on an album full of great tracks, in my opinion. I remember as a kid searching this out and trying to find the regular Nirvana version. I just couldn't find it. It went over my head that this was a fucking cover. For whatever reason, I didn't realize that at the time. Actually, fun fact, this is the only Nirvana album I owned as a kid. So I played the shit out of this over and over and am kind of partial to all these versions.
Makes sense.
Yeah, man, Lake of Fire, another Meat Puppets cover. This, to me, is one of the best covers of all time. This is one of them ones that's like better than the fucking original. Another iconic song. Like I said, you hear this shit come on the radio and you fucking just takes you right back. This is like the 90s version of Hotel California. It's got like that same kind of vibe for our generation.
The best generation.
Like the really pretty sounds with like the haunting lyrics, that Hotel California vibe, man. That's a good one. Lake of Fire, dude.
Yeah.
You just can't fuck with my generation.
Definitely my favorite of the 3 Meat Puppet songs they've done.
Yeah, for sure. By far.
I love songs that tackle religion, especially in a tongue-in-cheek type of way. It's a fun song. Great riff, like you said. I love it.
All Apologies is next. The Meat Puppets left the stage after their tracks. This is another one that just plays better acoustic, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I have to listen to this song, I prefer this version.
Another obvious pick for the Unplugged album. If I was going to make a complaint about this album, the one thing I would say is I wish they would have taken a few songs that weren't as obvious. Imagine them doing like Lounge Act or Negative Creep or something. That would be interesting to hear. It's a little nitpicky, but they did kind of go with the ones that obviously just translated to an acoustic version.
They did.
I think they could have challenged themselves a little bit, but like I said, it's nitpicking. I'm not complaining.
They like to stay away from all their popular tracks, which I respected because they would, they went the unconventional route for sure, especially in this era. Where Did You Sleep Last Night is the closer.
In my bed, motherfucker.
This is a Lead Belly, not necessarily a cover. Lead Belly originally composed the song, but Nirvana is taking over it here. This is the end and offers one of the most intense things I've ever seen in a musical performance. It happens at 3:56 if you're listening to the audio version. Bobby's shaking his head here. But it gets the full feeling if you go watch the performance.
I watched it.
It comes at the 4:50 mark, give or take, depending on where you watch it at. If you go to YouTube, it's about 4:50 in. Kurt is winding down the song, straining his vocals to the edge with so much gravel and passion. His vocals are cracking through the entire last line, and he belts out this lyric, "Shiver," and the band just completely stops. They completely drop out, and it's just Kurt, and he says, "The hole," and he pauses, and he looks up at the camera with his eyes open, and for a brief moment, he finishes the final lyric, and the band comes back in. It's a mixture of pain and clarity that can only be understood if you see it and if you have a soul, which Bobby doesn't.
I've watched it 3 fucking times.
It's an
Got
absolutely
nothing.
haunting
He opens his
way.
eyes.
It's a haunting way to end the performance, but you
Haunting.
have to put it in context. This is one of the last
It means in context,
performances.
the fucking band all ended at the same time, which means they fucking planned it. And he's fucking making stupid. You ever fucking jammed? You make dumb faces when you're jamming.
I don't know.
The
man.
emotions there and shit. Whatever.
I don't know.
He killed himself. Good riddance.
So I'll be devil's advocate
There you
here.
go. Advocate.
So
Fucking.
I'm incredibly partial to this performance. I think it's one of the most
Oh, it's incredible in performance. Yeah. Not taking that from him.
everything about it is iconic. It's
Uh-oh.
emotional. I watched this particular part of the video that you're referencing, Justin, and I'm with Bobby. I didn't get
Didn't
it.
get it. I
didn't
watched
get
it, and at the end, he goes
Dude,
into
he
the crowd and signs an autograph, and I was like, Kurt Cobain's ambidextrous because he plays left-handed and he writes with his right. I
That's
thought
an
that was
int-
the big
That's an
thing.
interesting fact there too. Yeah.
Nah, he fucking opened his eyes at
I
him.
get what you're saying. I saw what you saw, but I wonder
He just putting shit in there.
would that have mattered? You know,
No,
if history was different. Because,
Yeah, if he didn't kill himself, who gives a fuck about him opening his eyes? It's
right.
Dumb. It's dumb.
It didn't do anything for me in particular, and there's plenty of moments.
You got feelings too, so it
and
means there
there's
was
plenty
nothing.
of moments in this thing where it did. You know, there's
See?
plenty of moments.
Mm-hmm.
That whole performance of Where Did You Sleep is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't see it either. I didn't see it.
All right. So I've said it before, man. I'm not a fan of Nirvana. In general, they fucking suck. But this fucking showed that they were actually like capable musicians. Kind of made me mad when I saw them. I was like, motherfuckers know how to play. What are you cranking out dog shit for? The addition of Pat Smear is always a wise decision, and Lori Goldston on the cello, that was a cool feature. The acoustic bass sounds heavy as fuck. Stands out throughout the whole fucking gig. That shit is fucking punching through real badass. Sucks that Dave Grohl isn't doing much. He's the best part of the band. And in this particular situation, his role is more subdued. What are you going to fucking do? But to me, this is the grunge album. Ooh. When I think of the sound associated when I hear the term grunge, it's this. There's better albums out there, yeah, like totally. But this is the album that captures the vibe of that whole era. They play a mix of like some of the fucking popular stuff with the deep tracks. And then out of nowhere, they drop some of the coolest obscure covers, which was like super punk rock as fuck. They just big middle finger to the whole establishment. I thought that was cool, which was part of the vibe of the grunge thing. Just breaking all the fucking rules, man. It's raw. It's dirty. It's got the 90s existential fucking bluesiness to it. The fuck you, I'll do what I want experimentation. Normally, this ain't my fucking thing, but they did a good job. And there's a couple of really cool songs on there. So Nirvana Unplugged is a 3.5 upside down pentagrams for me. But that's the sound. That's the grunge sound. What the fuck? This album, that.
Yeah. So kind of just touching too on that last, Where Did You Sleep? The performance. We mentioned it. Kurt's voice, far from beautiful.
It is soulful though, full of it. 100%.
But what he captures there in the final moments of that song, he captures something very perfect. Whole last minute of that performance is incredible. When it comes to Nirvana, I'm definitely a Bleach guy. I like the more raw sound, and I prefer the faster, more punk-influenced songs. This album, though, is a whole different thing altogether. It's one of the most unique performances ever caught on film and tape. MTV tried to capture it again many times with other bands, but none of them, including Alice in Chains, ever had this type of magic.
It's the one.
This is the Unplugged album.
It is, and there's other ones that were successful and they were good. Like I'll listen to that Alice in Chains one. It's pretty good.
Okay.
It's nothing like this. It's just, this is a magical moment that was caught on video, caught on recording. Nirvana's Unplugged in New York is a 6 out of 6 upside down pentagram.
There you go. Nirvana was known for their energy, so this very intimate, stripped down acoustic set that mainly focused on Kurt's authentically raspy vocals really stands out to me. The song selection was odd at the time, and in hindsight, the stage decoration and everything about it comes off very funeral like with the flowers and all of that. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe it just comes off that way because it's what we know happens a few months later. On a bit of a side note, it's absolutely wild to me that this band, who has not released an album of new music in over 30 years, still has 31 million monthly listeners. Is a fucking crazy number for this genre of music. They have broke through generation after generation. Nirvana is timeless, and they changed the direction of music forever. Nothing about this is complex musically. As Bobby mentioned, these are not super talented musicians technically. It's just raw passion, and it's as raw as it gets, and one of my favorite live albums of all time. Nirvana's Unplugged in New York will always be a perfect 6 out of 6 for me.
Fucking A, get some.